What's up, guys? We're back in the city again, and today's topic is going to be
talk about the shootings that's happened recently. You know, you had Dallas.
The Christina Grimmie got shot. We're going to also hit the topic of just police brutality in general.
The kind of response I'm looking for is kind of like what needs to be changed directly in their opinion. You know what I mean? All right, we'll see you guys in the next part.
Alright, so before we start the video, we're going to go hit Starbucks real quick. What do we get? Our normal?
The norm.
So we're gonna find a Starbucks first, and then we're gonna head to City Hall and hit that area for some questions. Check with you guys then.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so Starbucks, we get our norm.
The norm is 2 pumps, sugar-free, caramel and French vanilla, 0 calories, straight up. Yep.
So already this year, several tragedies have taken place, such as Orlando shooting and the death of 22-year-old Christina Grimmie, and then recently on July 7th, 5 officers were killed in Dallas, and it seems never ending.
Right.
So do you have any opinions on any of that?
Absolutely. I think the issue is the lack of intensity that we have on gun control, and I think putting it in the hands of the wrong people is ultimately what's giving the big issue at hand. I think we're not doing a good enough job cracking down on it. I definitely think that law-abiding citizens who are safe with their weapons should be able to have them and, you know, be safe with them, but having people have access to them this quickly and that easy and have these acts of terror is just absolutely heartbreaking, and I think it's how many things need to happen before something changes.
I think they need to do a better job evaluating the people who are buying guns, but I think it's really wrong to incorporate people's mental health into it, because the fact is there should be no reason to discourage people to get help for their mental illnesses, and to have a law saying you can't buy a gun if you have a history of a mental illness, like that's just gonna make, like, if they want to buy a gun, they're just gonna go get it in another way, and then exactly, and then they're mad because they're being discriminated against. So just stop fucking shooting people.
So I'm not really sure that there's a lot you can change in regards to just one thing that'll fix everything.
Yeah.
It's sort of, that's sort of the issue with life, is you can't make one change and hope that it's going to fix everything. You know, in most practical approaches and in most approaches to life, you do a series of minor changes, you sort of test how they work, and then you keep the ones that do work and you get rid of the ones that don't. So in medicine, you test a bunch of chemicals, you test a bunch of substances, and you hope that they maybe treat your ailment, but if they don't, you keep trying, you keep modifying, right? So with legislation, that's the only thing that I've ever really thought of, that you try to pass a blanket approach and you just hope it fixes everything, but if it doesn't, you don't get rid of it, you just keep it there and keep adding more things on. My thoughts in regards to like recent violence and death and those kinds of things is there's definitely several issues that come into play that's causing this, right? You have the issue of who can obtain, you know, weapons in this country. You have the issue of why these individuals would want to hurt Americans, or why they would want to hurt their countrymen, why they would want to hurt officers. And I'm not sure that when you're looking at the big picture of who can obtain a weapon in this country, or why that individual would want to hurt someone, I'm not sure you can start restricting access to those kinds of rights without other individuals who are completely innocent being affected. I mean, you have hundreds of millions of gun owners in the country. I mean, I think it's 1 in every 3 Americans is a gun owner, and you don't see hundreds of millions of deaths every year. And so I can't imagine that every single person who owns a gun is a violent criminal, right?
I think that the social media has actually created between two, it's like hashtag Blue Lives Matter, and then hashtag,
Blue Lives?
Yeah, that's police, and then hashtag Black Lives Matter. And I think that's ridiculous because it's a life or death situation, and it's people dying. That's the sad part, and it shouldn't be categorized.
The miscommunication between two groups, and they just don't communicate, and you know, they just hash it out by not understanding each other.
It sucks because obviously it's the gun problem.
Yeah.
But it's not as simple as like saying, you know, no guns allowed, like regardless of the Constitution, because I mean, people are gonna find guns. If you're gonna want a gun, you're gonna find a gun.
Exactly.
Right now, it seems like social media is just kind of, I mean, you can pretty much just get away with kind of like having an opinion, but not necessarily being out there. But social media has provided like an outlet where it's drawing lines between people right now, and very clearly, you know, it's noticeable like who is and isn't necessarily your friend out here. So when you find people who are saying like Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, it's it's just kind of weird to see like lack of compassion, lack of understanding, and the whole issue of, you know, I'm not saying that your life doesn't matter. It's just I want to be able to walk the streets and not have to fear for people who are supposed to be protecting me. I'm not going to say I don't care about police lives, but I just want to be able to walk home, walk to the store, you know, not be judged for who I am just because I have my hood up. That's all I have to say on that.
Personally, I think it's kind of crazy, but you know, I guess us as the people, we got to kind of come together and stop putting, you know, too many categories on top of who we are, because there's a lot of stuff going on that, you know, us together can stop, not just, you know, collective groups, but I think everyone collectively can kind of stop this stuff, because it's kind of getting unnecessary and out of hand. Yeah. That's my opinion.
It is some fucked up shit that's what's going on, but I just feel as though like people just wait for shit like that to happen to say something like, oh, these white cops are killing black people, but they didn't say nothing when Ray Ray killed Juju in the club last weekend, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I really ain't got nothing to say about it. Like, it's gonna happen. I mean, yeah, it's fucked up, but like, ain't nothing we can do.
Alright, so we're gonna set up an Uber to go to Chipotle now.
Well, I think a lot of the increased violence comes from, I guess, the momentum of things, where people who are incredibly angry or upset or passionate about certain things see something, and then they see something else happen, then they see something else happen, and then they see this tragedy, and then another person commits a tragedy, and then people who get, I guess, blinded by all of the craziness and the violence and everything get pushed into doing you know, these horrible things that maybe they wouldn't have done if there weren't other horrible.
Because it's like, you're watching the momentum build. So
right.
They want to jump in because they don't even know what's really going on, but they're just jumping in because everyone else, it's happening.
And it seemed like it was like back to back to back to back, right?
And
it was like every day you heard something new.
Right, it's like,
yeah,
you don't see anything, and then all of a sudden there's one thing after another.
Yeah.
So, you know, you gotta at least bring up that there might be some relation. And then the same thing with the people who were killed in Dallas. The police officers, where obviously that guy, that wasn't the right thing to do. Obviously that was horrible what he did by killing those guys. But you have to acknowledge that, you know, while what he did was horrible, that that wasn't something completely out of the blue. There was a momentum that built
I get exactly what you're saying, man. It's a very valid point.
My first thought is that it's not necessarily like an increase of things that are happening. It's that we can see it so much easier now with like Facebook and other social media and stuff. But like, that can also make it so that like we're seeing it more often because of that, but then other people who can be like led to retaliate in a way that's like just like further violence can also see that, so they're probably like it's like, are they affected by what they're seeing on social media, or are we just seeing it more often because of that? But like either way, it's like there's so many issues going on at the same time, like with the hate crime at Orlando and Black Lives Matter movement and all that. Like at first they don't seem like they can be related in any way, but like I don't know. I just think that it's like a huge like gun control thing.
Like it is, yeah.
I think
that's what bottoms down at.
Yeah. It's just like it's just way too easy.
But because other people are doing it, they're gonna do it. You know.
It's like, I'm upset about this thing. Other people are doing things. I have to do things.
Exactly.
Well, it's more of I don't know. It's more of a not like race thing, but it's like a lot of problems where like a lot of people have to like understand that it's just not like it's just like black people are just like, oh, outrage. It's like it's just all our lives matter. Like that's what a lot of people don't understand about Black Lives Matter. It's not just us. We're just saying we're being specifically killed right now. Like we love everybody. Everyone's lives matters. But as like you guys, like you're white, like of course like you guys are doing this. Like you understand what's happening, and you understand like you know, with us. And a lot of people don't understand, like when we say there's white privilege, like there's white privilege, like you guys are as targeted as us, and like a lot of there's like not a lot of stuff like going on in your lives like us. So I
think a lot of people have to understand that and just, you know, come together as one and try to like stop the bad cops that are doing this to us. Like weed out the people who are doing this, and especially in our political in a political race and like every kind of way. Especially especially for people going to our in our presidential race, especially Donald Trump and like the whole thing right there. That like we have to kind of stop that, and then we have to keep digging and digging and digging to get out the bad people in our lives.
A lot of it has to do with internalized prejudice within our societies, like police and people our age are more likely to perceive black people as being more guilty or perceive black children as being older than they really are by about 4.5 years. So there's a certain thing that goes with being black and being perceived as a guilty suspect in just about any situation, or more dangerous in a given situation where you might not even be committing a crime. I don't know what we can do to prevent internalized prejudice within ourselves, but we can definitely do something to change it once we realize it's there.